Watch this pattern carefully. The people who complain about the system, for some reason, they get airtime. Have you noticed that? They get on panels, they get podcasts, they get viral clips. For some reason, the system tolerates them because frustration without direction is harmless. The people who adapt to the system, they get promoted. They get titles, they get budgets, they get access. The machine rewards alignment. But the people who actually try to fix the system, they get destroyed. Not always dramatically, not always publicly, but methodically. They get smear campaigns, performance reviews that suddenly shift tone, access quietly remove, allies warned off. All their narratives become reframed. And if they don't bend, they get neutralized. Some get fired. Some get defunded. Some get discredited just enough that their message no longer lands with anyone. And what I'm getting at is that should disturb you. Because this is not about bad leadership. This is about self-protection. The system protects itself. Here's what most people never get taught. Systems are not designed to pursue truth. Systems are designed to preserve continuity. That's the rule. You see, truth is optional. Continuity is mandatory. Government agencies, corporate hierarchies, media institutions, universities, nonprofits, blah, 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 on and on and on and on. Different logos, same survival instinct. Don't embarrass the machine. Don't expose the machine. Do not disrupt the machine's revenue streams. So when someone walks in and says, this policy isn't working, when someone walks in and says, the budget is misallocated, this department is failing, the system doesn't ask, are they right? No, the system asks, are they dangerous? See, that's the shift. The moment you are seen as dangerous to continuity, you are no longer a colleague. You're a threat. And threats get managed. Let's bring it home. Let's bring it home right here to Los Angeles, California. We got housing problems. We got homelessness problems. We got public safety problems, massive problems. These are not mysteries. They are outputs of incentive structures that reward press conferences over outcomes. We've watched whistleblowers sidelined, not for being wrong, but for being inconvenient. We've watched reform candidates outspent 10-1 by donor networks with deep ties to developers, to unions, to entrenched city contracts. We've watched accountability efforts reframed as extremism the moment they threaten departmental autonomy. We've watched transparency initiatives buried in subcommittees until the political moment passes. But why? Because disruption touches the money. And money protects itself. City contracts worth hundreds of millions. Political machinery built over decades and decades and decades. Nonprofits whose survival depends on problems continuing. The second you threaten those pipelines, you're not debating policy anymore. No, you're threatening power. And power does not debate threats. Power coordinates against them. Now let's go a little bit deeper. Systems are made of people, and people protect their identities. If someone exposes a system you've worked inside of for 20 years, that exposure doesn't feel abstract. It feels personal. It threatens your resume. It threatens your promotions. It threatens your self-image. So defense mechanisms activate. Coalitions form. Reputations get protected. Motives get questioned. Now, the reform debate is no longer about roads. It's no longer about housing. It's no longer about crime. It's about ego preservation. And collective ego preservation is ruthless. Watch the coverage pattern. Early stage reformer, neutral tone. Local advocate challenges policy. But once traction builds, the focus shifts. The focus shifts from, is the criticism valid, to what's wrong with this person, to old tweets, to tone analysis to anonymous sources to character framing, the story migrates. It migrates from systemic failure to personal flaw. That migration isn't random. That migration is narrative containment. Because if the spotlight stays on structural failure, public confidence erodes. And public confidence is oxygen. So the critic becomes the story. Not the corruption anymore, not the inefficiency, not the captured incentives. No, the critic becomes the story. And this isn't just in LA, it's federal agencies bearing policies they don't like. It's school boards protecting vendor relationships. It's corporations sidelining internal compliance officers. It's universities isolating a faculty who question administrative growth. Anytime you see reformers isolated, anytime you see critics reassigned, transparency delayed, anytime you see substance being ignored while somebody's personality is being attacked, you are watching an institutional immune response. Not because the reformer is wrong, but because being right can be destabilizing. And stability is the prime directive. Here's the part no one talks about. The real damage isn't what happens to the reformer. No. The real damage is what happens to everyone watching. You see, talented people, very talented people, they're watching, they're observing, they see the cost. They see the isolation. They see the reputational risk. And those talented people, well, they calculate. They calculate quietly. And they decide, they ask themselves, is this worth it? No, it's not worth it. So they stay in their lane. They perform concern instead of practicing it. They master strategic silence. And when principled people opt out, opportunists step in. You know who they are. People who brand themselves as good guys, as reformers without threatening the incentive structure that feeds them. You see, decline doesn't arrive with sirens. Decline arrives with compliance, with exhaustion, with smart people choosing safety. You know the old saying, those who know don't speak. And that's how systems decay. They don't decay through collapse. They decay through accommodation. If you ever tried to fix something and instead of support, you got attacked, I want you to understand this. You were not rejected because you were wrong. No. You were rejected because you were effective. And that's very, very, very different. And it matters. You see, systems protect their architecture before they protect their people. Always. If you threaten the architecture responds. Reform without strategy is martyrdom. But reform with strategy is leverage. And those are not the same thing. It's important to understand the machine is not broken. The machine is behaving exactly as designed. The shock isn't that it resists correction. The shock is that we're still surprised. Until we understand institutional immune response is structural, not partisan, not emotional, not accidental, we will keep repeating the cycle over and over and over again. We elect reformers, cheer their boldness, watch resistance build, then wonder why nothing changes. Los Angeles is the microcosm. America is the macro version. If we want outcomes instead of optics, we need to study incentives, not intentions.